This is Retirement Roadmap Radio with Mark Fricks from Master Plan Retirement Consultants. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Roadmap Radio with your host, Mark Fricks.
Hello again and welcome to another episode of Retirement Roadmap Radio with me, Mark Fricks, your host, and joining us as always is Mr. Tony Shore, and we are excited to be with you today. We have a great show, and what's great, I think, is it's very practical. Here we are near the end of the year, and so this is the show's called Your End of Year Financial Checklist. Isn't that catchy, Tony?
I like it. End of year financial checklist. Very catchy, Mark, and obviously a very good topic for today's show.
Yeah, I stayed up like all night thinking of the title. So really,
I'm sure. Didn't we just make it up right before the show?
Shh. Hey, that's behind the scenes secret. So don't mention that. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that we don't want people to know about.
Well, sure.
So anyway, so too much fun here. But yeah, here at the holiday season, we start thinking about, what's next year look like, what kind of, what do you call them? Your New Year's resolutions and that kind of.
Yep.
So a little bit like that, but some things that maybe you haven't thought about. Here we have about 10 days before the end of the year, so maybe hopefully we'll give you enough time to take advantage of some of these items. So anyhow, you've been good? Did you tell me you've been good?
I have been good. I've been traveling a lot lately and just excited about this time of year. I love the holiday season. And, it's just crazy because I'm still busy, but yet I have a lot of other things going on, right? And a busy holiday season coming up with family and traveling. So,
Nice.
That's kind of where I'm at. How about you, Mark? You've been busy too.
Kind of the same thing. Got some family stuff going on here over the holidays. We just had a big client Christmas party.
Oh, yeah. How did that go? I didn't make
we had
it to
over
that.
100 and something. I lost count. I mean, I spend all night long hugging necks and shaking hands and all, because it's like a big family. And we've not had one now. It's been 3 years, right, because of COVID.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So this was our first time. We had some great skits that involved some of the clients, had some great food. It was just a great night. We had a good time. Yeah.
You make your clients participate in skits, and they
we
show up to the event, huh?
we don't make them. We just, we did. It was really interesting. We did the night before Christmas, and so Evan read the story. We had some little kids sitting in front of him around the big chair in the fireplace, and then as he reached each end of a line in the poem, somebody would come out, dressed like a reindeer, or whatever that part of the poem was. So it was really fun. We're going to put it on video and put it on our website. So
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. Probably get sued by a few clients, but that'd be all right. So
no, I'm sure they were happy to be involved. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, we actually get signed waivers, photo release waivers, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So just to be safe, again, it's all about liability, right?
Right.
So anyway, maybe we should start the show here and get
we
going.
Should start. What's first on the list, that year-end checklist?
Okay, I'm going to start with an ugly word right off the top, and I apologize ahead of time, but you really should look at creating maybe a budget for 2023.
I knew you were going to use the B word.
No, I'm sorry.
How about spending plan?
I like that. Yeah, that's much better.
Spending
plan. Yeah. So we actually have a budget worksheet that we send people. So if you're listening today and you would like a copy of that, it really is good because it includes things you don't think about.
Right.
If you start thinking about, well, I go by Starbucks every morning. Gosh, that's $30-$40 a week, and is that really necessary and all that time? So anyway, if anybody's interested in that, I'd be glad to email it to them. Just contact us through the website or a phone call or whatever, and we'll get that to you. But yeah, when you start writing it down, you start realizing, I was working on mine, to be honest with you, and I've got about 12 streaming channels. And I'm like, when have I watched this one last? And when have I watched that one last? And so I just got rid of about half of them. That was like $50, $60 a month. And that kind of stuff adds up. And I said,
we had nine streaming services going at once.
That's right. They add up.
And, I have 5 people in my family, my wife and I and 3 kids. Now, the 2 of the kids are already out of the house, but they're still on our plans.
Of course.
And I'm like, how many are we actually watching? And can we rotate, like cancel half of them and then watch the others for a while and then cancel those and then resubscribe? Because streaming services, typically they don't have contracts, so and so that's worked out a lot better. I mean, you don't need 9 streaming services. But I want to say, speaking of saving money there and looking at your budget, we found out though, even with 9, we were still paying less than we had been with our cable bill to get all the channels we wanted.
It takes a while to get used to the streaming. Once you've learned it, you will love it. So if you're not doing it, folks, I would take a look at that. I'll give you an example. I have a channel I sign up for NFL football. Well, I cancel it in February until the next September. I mean, why pay for that? And I don't watch anything else on that particular channel. And of course, if you're married, you have to have the Hallmark channel. I think that's one, right? And that's the one you have to have if you're married.
Yep. The Hallmark channel. Or you have to have the Hallmark Christmas movies are streaming nonstop in our house now. Yeah,
absolutely. Same story, different actors. Actually, not different actors either, are there? Typically.
There's some of the same actors, but it's the same story and plot line for every single one of them. So,
Yep. So the next one is check your debt progress. If you've got a debt pay down system going on, or if you don't, maybe come up with one. If you've got several credit cards, there's some great websites out there. You can actually plug in your debt, and it will tell you what to pay off first. The old snowball effect. So put all your money toward the first one and then the second one. And so just Google that. But, start debt, debt kind of hangs over us. It's almost depressing, and so it feels so good to be out of debt. And so start working on that. And at the same time, create a savings plan. If you're not saving, if you're not participating with your 401k, if you don't have one at work, start your own. I mean, we do it every day for folks where they do $100 a month, and it adds up. And then next year you go to $150 a month or whatever it may be. And so your debt plan and your savings plans are 2 things to really look at getting started in January and then just doing a good job of it this year, I think, for sure. So. And then a couple
budgeting and debt planning, right?
Yep. And the savings plan, and then of course make sure if you've got some extra room before the end of the year to throw some money into an IRA or a Roth or your 401k plan. Throw it in there before the end of the year so it gets into this tax year and gets you a good jump start next year. And this I really shouldn't have to say this, but if you're not at least contributing to your 401k up to the match, that needs to be your number one goal. That's free money. And so if you're putting in 3%, but your company will match 5%, get that to 5% at least. That's powerful. It really is. So.
Yeah, maximize your 401k and IRAs before the end of the year to really get the tax benefits from those. And, of course, like you say, make sure you're putting in enough to get that full 401k match from your
Absolutely.
company.
Yeah, most companies have gone back to that. A lot of companies quit that. Back in 2008, 2009, 10, 11.
Yep.
But most of them have come back with that, so that's really good. So something else, and it's almost too late, but if you've been considering a Roth conversion in this tax year, you've got about 10 days left to do that. So, a lot of companies, really get backed up at the end of the year, so it may be too late, but if that's something that you really want to do, get into this tax year so that next year you've got a clean slate and you can convert more. I'm a big, as you know, Tony, a big proponent of Roth conversions. There are no limits on how much you can convert to a Roth. Some people think that they can only do 7,000. That's new contributions, but to go from an IRA to a Roth, there is no limit except what is your tax. And so we have software that can actually figure your tax almost down to the dollar based on what your income is, other things that you've taken out of IRAs, things like that. So, and there's no age limit on converting a Roth. You can be 35 or you can be 85 and you can convert Roth money too. So get with somebody that knows what they're doing. We can help you with it, or somebody, but take a look at that. And somebody that understands taxes, not just a investment person that's going to throw it into something. You got to understand your tax implications on that. So,
yeah, it seems like everything you mentioned here on the show and talk to us about, Mark, they all have tax implications. So, and you want to, I mean, it's part of it, because with financial planning, you want to minimize your tax burden, obviously.
Yeah, because, especially in retirement, we're preparing for that, right? And so every dollar that comes in, how much of it is coming in after tax? It doesn't matter the gross, it's the net, right? Mm-hmm. And so if we can reduce that tax burden in retirement, it's powerful. It really is. So
yeah.
Yep. Something else that we do for our clients every other year is review your beneficiaries on all of your accounts. I can't tell you how often something has come up, and maybe a new client comes in and says, "Hey, our mom passed away," or whatever, and come to find out there were no beneficiaries on some of their accounts, like IRAs or annuities or whatever, a 401k, or maybe it was somebody like an ex-wife or an ex-husband. Ooh, that can get ugly, right?
Yeah.
So review every couple of years, make sure they're correct. We do that as part of our estate planning and legacy planning, is make sure beneficiaries are correct. And while I'm on that subject, get your legal documents together. If you don't have a will, shame on you. You're going to leave a problem for somebody if something happens to you, and we're not guaranteed tomorrow, right, Tony? And so have that lined up, your financial power of attorney, your healthcare directive, and your will. Heck, if it's a simple situation, there are some online services that you can do that are fine for simple situations. If it's more complicated, call us. We'll guide you through it, okay? But don't leave that hanging out there. That gets ugly. It really does.
Yeah.
So
it really can. So what's next?
Yeah, so we're flying along pretty good here. So this is the time of year when you probably at your job have open enrollment. So take a look if there's any changes you need to make. Maybe your company offers a disability policy that you've been thinking about. Maybe you need to drop something else. If you're paying for extra life insurance, you do know if you're on a group policy, it's more expensive than if you go get your own policy. Okay, so maybe check that a little bit. If you're insurable, which most people are actually. Life insurance has gotten really competitive. It's easier to get approved. So if you are paying extra money for that group coverage to get $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, I can almost promise you it will be 30% cheaper to buy it on your own and get your own policy. Plus, if you get laid off or leave your employment, you carry your life insurance with you, whereas if it's a group policy, it stays there and you lose it. And so check open benefits, whatever it may be, disability, dental, whatever it may be. This is the time of year. It may be too late at your office, but usually the last quarter. And also the Affordable Care Act. If you need health insurance, you have until the end of the year to apply for it under the Affordable Care Act. So jump on that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting. You mentioned the Affordable Care Act and things like that. There are constant changes to all these things, too. And to keep up to date, as you're looking at what you need to do before the end of the year, I think one thing you have to do is work with a financial services professional like yourself, an advisor who stays up to date on what's happening with tax laws, with Social Security, with Medicare, with open enrollment time. So you help your clients out with these things, and you can help our listeners as well. Why don't we take a moment here to let the listeners know how they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, so Tony, really, I think the best way is through the website. Now, we'll take a good old-fashioned phone call any day of the week, right?
Oh, yeah.
770-980-9262. But it's easy to remember the website, masterplanretire.com. And basically, there's a little button there that says schedule an appointment. You press that button, you get a complimentary session with me. It can be via Zoom, telephone. You can come into the office. I have some satellite offices we use. And basically, that first meeting is just you tell me what you're concerned about, where you're at in retirement, what your goals are, and then we can maybe run some reports for you and kind of show you, are you short? Are you ahead of schedule? What do you need to change to get where you want to be? And that's if you're 6 months from retirement or 10 years. It doesn't matter. Let's see if you're ready. If I can't tell you, Tony, how often that people have come to me, our clients, and said, I was able to retire 3 years earlier because of the changes you guys made, or whatever the number of years is. And just so many people have told us that. And so that plus the peace of mind of knowing you have a plan is huge. It's huge. Yeah. So the website's a great place, masterplanretire.com. It also talks a lot about the other things we do. It has a page full of workshops that we teach constantly, Social Security planning, accounting, taxes, federal workers and their benefits, lots of different classes, legacy planning. We teach that class as well. So those are all complimentary. And so take advantage of those for sure.
Yeah, that's huge. Now, we're talking about a year-end financial checklist today, and you've gone over a number of things already. What's something else that our listeners need to be aware of before the end of the year or during this time, the start of a new year?
Yeah, I would say get a copy of your credit report. It's free once a year from all three services, and just check and make sure there's nothing going on, and I've got a service I pay for that watches mine, and I got it for free because somewhere my information got breached, right? And so I've got like 2 years of free monitoring or whatever, but pull your report. You can do that once a year for free and just check activity, check what's going on. I think most people know how to raise your score. Don't apply for too many accounts, keep your credit cards paid down, pay on time, things like that. But just make sure there's not anybody sniffing around your credit. And if you ever get your credit, invaded or somebody, I can't remember the word I'm trying to use, Tony, but they invade your privacy with steal your information, that kind of thing. Yep. I tell you, that gets messy. And so just keep an eye on that. It's a good time of year is to take a look at that and see, if there's anything going on with that for sure. And then I would say also, maybe think about applying or replacing a credit card or two. And why would you do that? Well, there's a lot of credit cards that have better deals. So maybe you pay off the old one that has a higher interest rate with a new one that has the first 2 years free credit, free interest. Maybe it gives you cash back. I like using my American Express because I get Delta points, and I'm here in Atlanta, which is home of Delta. So every flight out of here, Delta goes everywhere in the world, so you can't go to heaven without going through Atlanta first. I don't know if you knew that or not, but without a layover in Atlanta. But, so think about me, is it time to upgrade to a credit card, a new one or whatever? Don't do it every 3 months. They start pulling credit, it lowers your score, but just, think about that and take a look at what your benefits are on your current credit cards, and should we, make a switch there. Don't just add one. I'm not saying that. Just add 3 cards.
No, check your credit score, though, because sometimes it can be affected by outside factors, and sometimes there are mistakes on your credit report. And I have actually found mistakes, and there's a submission form to submit, hey, this is wrong, and it's been corrected and improved my credit score. And that happens a lot, actually.
Yep, it does. It really does. They are not perfect for sure. And while you're checking, I'm sure a lot of people do this. Some people don't, especially the newer generation. Check your checking account. I check mine every day. Just to make sure that there's no mistakes, or again, somebody somehow got a copy of our check for the business here, one of our checking accounts, duplicated the check, and started passing them all over the U.S. I'm talking about out west and in Texas, and they, I caught it like the very first time it happened, and so we were able to grab it, but they were going to these check cashing places, passing these fake checks, and they didn't look like our checks, but had all the right information, and my signature was just scribbled on there, and
sure.
And I don't know, and they actually ended up catching these as a boy and a girl. I don't know if they were married or whatever, but they were together. They called them, and actually got calls from 3 different prosecutors in 3 different states saying, if we need you, can you come out and and testify or whatever? And I said, sure, if you pay for it.
So, yeah, exactly.
But so just keep an eye on that kind of thing. And the other thing I would say, Tony, is it's a good time to review your insurance policies. And so, take a look at your auto, your homeowners, your any life insurance policies, things like that. I recommend shopping your auto and home at least every 2 or 3 years, because what happens is, and people may or may not know this, but rates are based on your zip code. And if you've had more claims in your zip code, then your rates could go up with one company, but another company maybe has not had as many claims, and their rates go down in your zip code. So you never know. I switched over. I was with one company for quite a while because I had a cousin that worked for that company, was an agent with that company. So, we did business with him, but he retired, and I started shopping around, and we dropped our auto bill by like 30%. It was crazy.
Yeah, we did the same thing with our homeowners insurance. We finally looked at it, and we had been with the same company since we bought our house like 25 years ago.
Wow.
And they had just raised it every year. We saved over 50% on homeowners insurance. I kid you not.
Yep. And while we're talking about that, also you might want to think about checking your liability limits. I would say at least $300,000 if you've got any kind of savings and money at all. $300,000 liability, and Tony, liability, of course, is something that you're at fault, whether it be medical, whether it be their car or whatever. And you get in a wreck with a Mercedes, and they end up going to the hospital. You can use up $300,000 pretty quickly. So if you've got any, if you've got value as far as retirement accounts and things like that, you might want to think about an umbrella too. You can get an umbrella policy for $300 or $400 a year, and it's going to take those limits up to $1 million, even $2 million. And so people talk about, hey, I'm going to set up an LLC to protect me and do this and that and the other. And I say, yes, you can do that. That's a good idea. But also check your umbrella, and that, even if somebody is able to pierce your corporation or your LLC or whatever, that could take you up to a much higher limit as well. So I know this is not exciting stuff, Tony, but it's just little tips, and maybe one tip will help somebody out today and give them an idea about, I hadn't thought about that or checked that in a long time. So that's just, it's just a good idea to do that. So.
Yeah, that's true. I think people need to stay on top of these things. I know there's a lot to think about at the end of one year and the beginning of next. But again, I want to point out that you don't have to go it alone. I know you have this checklist that you can give to people and help them out, and we'll answer questions over the phone or meet in person with them, and there's no charge or obligation for that consultation. So I encourage our listeners to pick up the phone and give you a call, Mark. This has been a great topic so far. What else do you have? We probably have time for one more year-end item for that checklist. What's something that you want people to look at? I mean, you mentioned taxes. That's a big one.
Yeah, and that actually my last one does relate to taxes. It's take a look at harvesting any tax losses. So this has been a down year in the market, and so if you've got an account that has stocks and bonds and mutual funds in it, and it's not an IRA, so it's like a brokerage account or whatever, it's a good time to harvest some of those losses. So you can actually sell some of the holdings that have lost money, and that will give you a tax deduction, or that will allow you to buy something else or sell something else that has a profit and level that out. So it's called tax harvesting. And so you're harvesting the losses not only to get a write-off on your taxes, but also to make changes while you can. So if your Home Depot is a bad example, they're not down. But if your IBM is down and you're down 10%, you sell it. That 10% can be written off your taxes. But more importantly, you can turn around and buy something else or sell something you've been wanting to get rid of that you think is topped out, and it's got a profit. Okay, but you can balance it with that loss and make changes. And again, this is something we help people with every day is we create a gain loss report, and we're able to go in and in this template and plug in your holdings, and it shows if we were to sell this, that, and the other, this profit equals this loss, and plus we can make some good changes or free up some money to do something else with or buy some gold or whatever. I mean, but just it's a good time to make those changes. And a lot of people don't understand that these brokerage accounts can really spit off some taxes every year, and so it's a good time to rebalance that out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that making a list like this and checking it twice, so to speak, I couldn't resist.
Oh, man.
I couldn't resist a little Christmas joke. But seriously, a year-end checklist is something great to have. Now, before we have to go, let our listeners know one more time how they can get a hold of you to get that list and go through it with you.
Yeah, so again, the best way is the website, masterplanretire.com. planwealth.com, all one word, and just explore the site. And I would say bookmark the site, because we're always adding podcast and YouTube videos, education. We're all about educating first, and so it's a great resource to go to. But again, if you want that complimentary session, just click on the Make an Appointment. I'll have 2 calendars pop up. One is for clients, the other one is for consultations. Click the consultations. You'll see whatever openings I have. You pick one, and then we'll send you out the information as far as how to get on the Zoom call or where to come or whatever it may be. So, masterplanretire.com.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Retirement Roadmap Radio with our host, Mark Fricks.
And thank you, Tony, for joining us today and helping us out as always. And I'm not sure if I'll see you before Christmas, and probably not New Year's, but if not, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Complete your financial checklist as we talked about. But in the meantime, until we see each other again, remember, folks, plan well and prosper. Have a great day, everybody.